60 and 60 and single, 60 and happy, 60 and whatever it is that you want to talk about when you're over 60.
You still need me, will you still feed me when I'm 64?
So welcome, Donna Mazzitelli, correct?
Thank you,
It's
Michelle. Yes.
really great for you to join me here at 60 and if you have to finish that sentence, what would you say? 60 and what?
60 and going strong.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's good to hear. How did you end up in Colorado, or where are you from originally?
Originally from California, from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh,
Actually, yes. Until lived there until I was 50 years old. So my husband and I hesitated for a moment because we were both 50. So, but yeah, a huge life change at 50 years old. So, actually my memoir that will be coming out later this year, my first one, part of that is in the story. So part of that whole, what
yeah.
that was like.
And I love that
for
you're
me.
like involved in writing and book projects and stuff like that. That's
Yes.
excellent.
Yes, definitely.
Do you help people write books, or do you ghost?
Oh, yes.
Here?
Well, I've ghostwritten before. I don't do ghostwriting as often, but I do help people. I'm a writing coach. I'm an editor. I also have a publishing company. So some books I publish under my imprint as well. So
have you always done that?
No. So, but for the last over a decade now, I started into editing as kind of just helping in a woman's anthology, helping with some stories. And as a result of that, the women who had compiled the anthology were helping others, decided to start helping others self-publish. And they approached me, would you become an editor for us? And at that time, my background, I was like, well, I don't have quote unquote pure credentials for that. But then when I looked at it, it was like, everything, this meandering path I've been on led me right there. It was absolutely the right thing to be doing. And they saw it. And so that was the opening of the door. I said yes. And that was it. And I've never looked back. It's
often
amazing.
that we fear, like we think we need credentials. We need the credentials of a mediocre white man. And then we will do anything. We could do anything. So I'm sure you probably have much more credentials than you're giving credit for.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as time's gone on, sure. As time's gone on, I really see, I definitely see what my gifts are. I see, what I'm able to offer authors, and I see it through the feedback that I get from them. So it's more what I receive from them that shows me that I'm doing exactly what I was meant to be doing.
Oh, that's awesome.
It really is. And I've helped so many people with getting their stories out, men and women, more women than men, but both. And we've, won a lot of awards too. So that's all, like, to me, it's all validation that I'm doing right what I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
What's your favorite story so far?
Oh, that would be a tough one. That's tough. I could say what's my favorite genre, and I would say it's memoir, as well as I'd have to say two. So memoir and personal growth and development, which I love doing personal growth and development where authors are willing to bring in their own stories. So it still has a bit of memoir to it. So that's my favorite place to hang out. But I definitely do fiction, and I do other types of nonfiction as well.
What do you think is the block that people have about telling their story?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is about worthiness and about, is anybody really going to want to hear my story? Is my story really, is it that important? Am I really that important as a human being to even, put my story out there? What makes me special? Why am I, the one to tell a story?
And how do you combat that, or how do you help somebody with that?
Well, I first ask them, is this something where you keep hearing this whisper that you need to tell a story, not just what your friends or your family is saying to you about, gosh, you've got to tell that story. That can be part of it, because sometimes that's that mirror to tell you that you're on the right track, to do it. But if you have that inner urging or that whisper that just doesn't go away, then I say, you got to look at that further. And our stories don't have to be unique in terms of our experience, doesn't have to be unique. Like there might be plenty of people who have had a disease, for instance, and written about what happened to them. But what is unique is each person's interpretation and what they've done, with that in their life and what they've come to know, and, the lessons they've learned, the experiences they went through. There's a piece of the uniqueness is because of each person being a unique individual.
Mhm.
So we don't have to be completely don't have to have a complete unique storyline, but we're unique in our personality and how we interpret what we've been through.
Mhm.
And then I also tell people that the people who need to hear, because there's a multitude of books out there, and chances are there's a multitude of books on that topic. It's like, but people are going to gravitate to your story because they need to hear it the way you tell it. And that's the other piece of the uniqueness, is how you tell your story in your own voice.
Right.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is your uniqueness?
Well, when I
You
started
left
out,
that door
yeah,
wide open.
didn't I? When I started this part of my life's, path, I thought I was a wordsmith. I started out calling myself a wordsmith. I had business cards, with a typewriter image, stock photo, and it called myself the wordsmith. And as I started in, probably it was less than 2 years in, I realized that what I offer has so much more to do with, it's not just grammar and spelling and punctuation and what sounds like a good sentence. It's really also that I bring my heart into it and my intuition, and that's unique to me. I believe it is truly unique. I only know one other editor that I would say definitely does a bit more of that, but and I'm not saying there aren't others out there, but I think, my way of doing it is definitely very unique. So it's that intangible, where I can hear something, where the story goes through me, and then I can kind of bring out and ask the right questions because of what I'm getting in terms of what's here and maybe what's still not yet revealed. So, yeah.
How do you think we can utilize our intuition more, or how do you help somebody utilize their intuition more?
Well, even that piece of when you hear that whisper of wanting to write a story, and it just doesn't go away, I think that's our intuition speaking to us. So it's like, how much are you listening to that inner voice, not all the external, but that inner voice that's trying to lead you somewhere. And I think that takes a bit of, like, for me, it's journaling is a very important piece of even writing. I like to write on paper before I put it into the computer. That's not everybody's process, but those that do use it, it's that thing of heart to hand. And I really feel like there's something that comes through in terms of our intuition and our inner voice and and getting to connected to our heart to really, and instead of just saying this happened, then that happened, then that happened, and going through the facts, it's like it gets us into the experience and what really went on for us internally, and how we perceived it and how we experienced it.
Do you think there is a certain age where we learn to trust our intuition?
Well, I can only say from my own experience that I think as I've aged, I feel more connected with it and more trusting of it. And not to say I actually have gone through, and that comes in my memoir a bit, is I went through kind of like the pendulum swinging the other way, all the way to the extreme where I didn't want to listen to anybody, where, I didn't want anybody's input. And which I think that's not the place to hang out either. It's like finding that middle ground where I can take in external information, and yet I can listen to that internal voice and then come to what is right for me,
Yeah.
not for anybody else, but what's right for me.
Yeah.
And
when you brought up intuition, I was right away trying to think of when did I start to listen to my intuition, because I can pinpoint all the times I didn't listen to it and I made those stupid choices,
Right.
knowing the answer, like knowing
Yeah.
what I was doing was wrong, because
Yeah.
I didn't feel safe enough to listen to my intuition. So I was trying to pinpoint my age at where was it that I finally went, okay, I'll listen. Do you
Do
know
you, you,
when yours was?
well, so, when I look back, there are some things that I did very young that I do think it was intuition.
Mm,
Um, I definitely think that I adopted I adopt my first child. I adopted when she was 2 years old, and I
mhm.
was only 21 years old.
Oh God.
And I was married to my first husband at the time, and so but I was the one who was urging that on
Mm,
really in the beginning. My family thought I was nuts. I mean,
yeah,
you're 21 years old, you just got married,
yeah,
you haven't been married very long. And, my husband came around to it, and we proceeded. But that I really do feel like was intuition. It was like this, I can't tell you why exactly, but I know I have to do this.
wow,
Um,
that was good.
now,
So you were an early adopter, as we call it. Well, you were into listening to your intuition very young. Mine did not happen till much later.
well, and I can't say I always stayed listening, though. I think it went away for a long time. To be honest, it
Yeah,
really did go away for a long time, because then it became about doing all of those external things that are, expected, or that, whether it was family
yeah,
or culture or society, what's a successful person in their 20s? What's a successful person in their 30s? What does it look like when you start to get into your 40s? Where should you be? So a lot of that was definitely externally driven. I mean,
yeah.
I really do think I lost my connection to it for a long time. So,
Well,
yeah.
since you're a wordsmith, I have a little challenge for you now. When you describe a woman, the stages of a woman, you have like the virgin, the mother, and the crone.
Grown.
And I
Uh-huh.
hate that word because I'm in the
Oh,
crone years, right?
right,
So
right.
can you think of a better word for crone
Well,
in a
a, a
wordsmithy kind of
wis
way?
a wisdom holder. I talk about that sometimes, a wisdom
That's
holder.
not peppy enough. That's too
But
long.
that's, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know that there is something really I think magical about the word crone. I think when um, I wonder what it is that we shy away from in that, when we don't really want to embrace that phase, it's because
Mine is
it
more
does.
mine's more
Yeah.
visual. I'm a super visual person. So
Uh-huh.
I automatically look at like a Disney old hag crone with the apple. Like she's like to me the
Okay.
crone. So I have a really
Okay.
hard time divorcing from that
Sure.
visual. And
Yeah.
and it's not often to get too many strong women of a certain age, of the crone age that can
Right.
be out there. Sure, Katharine Hepburn would have been one. Betty Davis is one. They're certainly
Right.
strong, independent women, but I don't know. When you say that word crone, you just get this image in your head, and you're like,
Right.
no, no.
Yeah. Well, hag, I can definitely get the negative connotation with that. And
Yeah,
I would just venture to ask, like, how much has society made us afraid of the word crone? Because, of course, we're not supposed to age, or we're not supposed to look like we're aging.
yes.
So and that's even gotten, I think, is more intense than ever before, in the last decade or so. I feel like and maybe I'm just more aware, but
It's,
it
it's
just,
when I see a 25-year-olds getting Botox, and I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
right,
Why?
right. But if we can't embrace that,
Mhm.
and maybe there does need to be a new word that comes around. But I just think that if we can't embrace that part that is tied to crone, to what it means to be a crone, I think then we're going to be doing whatever we can to avoid it, right?
Yeah,
To either avoid it when we're already here, to deny it, or to avoid getting there.
Yeah.
So, the maiden sounds lovely, and the, what's the middle one for, I just
Mother.
like a mother, and mother, of course. So it's like those both, conjure just really lovely imagery. And but somehow there was a time that crone didn't conjure negative
Mm,
imagery, and yet now there are many who, it's like we're gonna do everything we can to reject that time of our lives.
yeah.
So I don't
It's
know.
not
I
that
think
I rejected, it's
curious.
just the identification factor.
Yes,
Like
right, right.
I have a heart, and that's kind of why I started this podcast. Was I was at a luncheon in January with another woman my age, and with two young women who we were at socially distanced. It was a specific luncheon. We weren't wearing a mask. We were sitting at our table, and these two 20-year-olds were at our table, and then the two of us. And
Uh-huh.
the waiter came and did not take our drink order, did not look at us, did not even, we were not even there. We were air. And I
Wow.
was like, oh my God.
Wow.
He literally walked away, and it was like, yo, hey, come on back. I thought, this can't, I don't care about being pretty or whatever, but it was just like this total disregard
Yes. Yeah.
for, either he felt they were our daughters and they were going to take care of us, or so whatever it was that was in his brain, we were not
Sure.
valid enough to be spoken to. So
Right.
I just was like, oh no, no, not with me. I'm just like, I'm a little bit too outspoken to take that land down. So that was my point of this was, what can we say? So it's, on one hand, I love your story and I love hearing what you're doing, but also there are younger women that are going to listen to this, and what can we prepare them for in this
Mhm.
situation? It's like,
Right.
what do we tell? What's the words of wisdom as crones that we're giving to these maidens to say, be careful here, or listen to your intuition? I love that one.
Right.
Listen to your
Right.
intuition.
Well, and I think the other part is, if I think back to the time of my grandmother, women didn't live as long in general. I mean, I do know, I shouldn't say, there are
How
some
long?
that were
Yeah.
my grandmother died early, actually.
Okay.
So because she had cancer, and so
Yeah.
she died young.
What year was she born?
She was born in 1898. Yeah,
Okay, my
1898.
grandmother was 1899, so she's a year
Ah,
older than
okay.
a year.
Okay.
It was like, and she died at 84. So I was like, I was
Okay,
always
that
able
was
to remember.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was longer. So,
it's,
and yes, some of my grandmother's friends did live beyond,
yeah.
definitely went into their 80s, even 90s. I mean, I actually know one woman who's, well, no, she's now deceased. Sorry that I just blanked on that. Now I'm getting into my mother's age group. So, and I just lost my mom a couple of years ago.
Oh,
So in 19, and she was just shy of her 90th birthday.
okay.
So, and her sister, my aunt, is actually still alive and about to celebrate her 96th birthday.
Oh my goodness.
So I think, I guess where I was going is, though generations ago, women did die young. I mean,
Sure.
it was like, if you
Often
made it to,
in childbirth,
well, that
they
as
didn't make
well.
it. They didn't make
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. But if you made it to your 60s, you were doing good, right? I mean, but now we're seeing that we can go beyond. So it's like the 60s. I don't know. I don't buy into that. The 60s mean we have to retire and, just kind of like stop doing things and being engaged in life, and just kind of like wait for time to pass. I just feel like, because of the times we're living in, that we have great opportunity in our 60s to just go on to another whole time of life, that it's a phase that is still actually can be very active and participatory, and we can also be still contributing
Right.
to society. I just feel like, we there's a lot of value at this time, and to be offered. And I think that somehow, I don't know that we can educate to that. I think it's going to be more that we have to model it. I think it's going to be
Okay.
how we that we show it, that it's we're walking we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the talk, and
Yeah.
we're living it. I think that's what's going to let women younger women see. And I think also more of us who are able to embrace that we are crones, that we are in this phase of life, and yet there's still so much that can be given at this time, that can be contributed. And there's so much that not only are we giving out, but there's so much we can receive at this time too. So it's got to be, both. It can't be just one or the other. So I don't know. I think it's going to be the modeling of it.
That's a good
That it
point.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always ask everyone, what is the magic moment in your life? My father was a magician, so magic is really important to me, and magic's all around me. And so when I first said that, what was the magic moment? What was the first thing that came into your head?
The first thing that came into my head was having had cancer. I think that was the magic moment, but I had it twice. So I was like, okay, so probably, so which time? But I think that was the magic and I think the second time was even more magical, in the sense of, what are you going to do? How are you going to live your life? What are you here to do? Are you done? Or if you're not done, what does that mean? What does it look like? I think that was the magic. Yeah.
I'm quite sure a lot of people wouldn't equate cancer with magic. So explain that a little bit. How was it magic?
Well, because that's part of my memoir. So it's like, but I don't per se call it magic, but I think, to me, magic, the cancer was at least this for sure the second time, actually, because of the second time, when I came to see that cancer gave me the opportunity to really understand love, and to understand that not only was it important for me to love myself, but it was important for me to love the cancer that came into me. So, not in order to keep it as a part of me, not to hang on to it, but to be with it in its time, and then to release it and bless it, thank it, and let it go. So to me, that was the magic of realizing that, to truly love, I have, it's like love and embrace everything that comes along, that, whether it's perceived as good or bad, negative or positive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What then is your motto for life?
I don't know that I have. Let's see. Well, I guess it would be kind of tied to what I do. It is that, everyone has a story to tell. And I think that it's important that we each share our stories. Because that's how we see our connection to each other. That's how because we are all connected, but that's how we can experience it and feel it. So I think it's that, share your story, that it's important that we share our story. I have a coined phrase, but it's not coming to me right now. but it's
people think of it. What is the scariest thing you've ever done?
What would be the scariest thing I've ever done?
Mine starts out sounding like a joke. It was Michelle and Monique walking through the back alleys in Istanbul.
Oh.
I'm not going to finish it, but it's kind of like two guys walking to a bar. Nope, Michelle and Monique walking down the street in Istanbul where they shouldn't be.
Yes. Yeah, I think that it would probably be the scariest thing that I've gone through. Is having gone through the second cancer, and having to go through the treatment that I thought that I would never have to go through, and that I had never wanted to go through. That scared the hell out of me. So, just scared me to death. And so I think I would have to say that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be,
Well, that's pretty frightening. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I think we've all at least had cancer scares. And so I
right,
only know a
right.
little tiny portion
Yeah,
of what it
yeah,
must feel like to actually get the card. You're
yeah,
like, yep, you're a member now. And
right.
that can be very, very tight, very upsetting. Is there
Yeah.
anything else about your business that you want to tell me?
Well, I just, let's see, what can I say? I love, like I said, working with people to bring out their stories. Um, my website is writingwithdonna.com. I call myself the word artiste, which
Oh, yes,
that
that's nice. Yeah.
that was that from wordsmith. I realized, about 2 years into it, is that what I do is the word artiste, because it's using my heart and it's artistry at the same time. It's working with somebody to help them, get in touch with the craft of writing, but yet not from a technical place at all. It's really from the inside out, and expressing what's here, in the depths, even in fiction, because it's really like, what do we bring to the depths of our characters? So I would say that's goes to that unique part of me, and I love working with people in that context. And I think the other thing I would just say at this point is, I'm 65 going on 66, and I declared this year that I was really going to step up my business this year, really like show up in a bigger way. So come out with my first memoir, really come out. It's been a work in progress for over a decade. And so, to come out with it, to actually, step up in terms of, how I put myself out there as a publisher, as well as a writer and editor. And so I'm excited about that's why I say that I think our 60s, like, I'm just excited for the next, I'll at least say till I'm 70 and then see where I'm at. But, I don't see myself even at 70 stopping if I don't have to for some reason.
Do
Yeah.
you have a solution to writer's block?
I don't, I think that writer's block a lot of times is more to do with those inner saboteurs that just try and, quiet us to, try and, so I think it's really learning ahead of time how to deal with that piece. So getting very clear about the story you're writing, why you're writing it. I call it creating your touchstone, your story's touchstone. And that's what you come back to anytime you get to that stuck place. Because I think that stuck place a lot of times is all of a sudden just getting scared to death about coming out with the story.
Mhm.
Or those thoughts that start going on, that imposter syndrome, all of those things that can go on to try and shut us down. So
Yeah,
I think that's a bigger piece of writer's block. It's that fear we get into.
yeah,
So it's like, if we can go back and remember why we're doing it, something that's beyond us, something that's bigger than us, that can, I think, help with that. So
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
great. Well, and are you on social media at all?
I am, definitely have to do some updating of
Well,
that, but you can, but Facebook, you can find me under my name, Donna Mazzitelli. And let's see, on LinkedIn, I'm under my name as well.
okay.
Instagram as well. So yeah, so for right now, I'm going to do more to upgrade my business presence, under those names. So Writing with Donna, and then Mary Dissonance Press is my publishing company.
Merry, Merry or MA?
Correct. No, M-E like Merry Christmas, but
Okay.
it's Merry Dissonance.
Dissidents. I love
So
it.
it's,
I love
yeah,
it.
it's kind of like I
That's kind
talk
of like
about.
my genre. Dissident.
Yes, exactly. It's like creating that rub and, out there and also to kind of stir things up,
Yeah.
without being in your face. So that's where dissonance comes in. It's like, it's just that, because then that tension, it's like it does resolve. Dissonance never stays there. It's like it resolves into, a harmonious, beautiful, place. And so, yeah, so that's Mary Dissonance Press.
That's
Yeah, so those are the places currently where you can find me.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
The way you still